we are swiping left and right, but we now need to handle the swipe. What is going to happen when a swipe is complete? And if you remember, we can do operations after an animation is complete using the callback argument for the start method. So in here, this is the function. We're going to handle the swipe. So I'll go ahead and write a new function for handling swipe. We'll call this function handle swipe. And I'll just call it here. And eventually, the handle swipe is going to be different if we're swiping left and right. But let's start with a simple handle swipe left. We'll define handle swipe. This is a function. In this function, we want to do two things. First, we want to update the state and change the image index. That makes the view change its content. And then we want to animate the same view that is holding the image that we swiped completely to the left. We want to animate it from the right. So let's start with set state. Set state is simple. We want to change the image index to be the previous state image index plus 1. Very simple. This is if we're swiping left. If we're swiping right, we're going to decrement the image index. But let's first implement the swipe left case. After this set state is complete, which we can do inside a callback here, after the set state is complete, we want to animate the next image. So next image animation is going to happen here. So at this point, the current animated image holds the next image, right? But it was completely swiped to the left. Its left position here is minus the width of the screen. So we want to reset its position to the right side. We want to reset the left position to the width of the screen so that it goes to the other side of the swipe, and then animate its entrance to the screen. So two things. First, we want to do something like this dot image x position dot set value to the width of the screen. I don't have the width of the screen here, so I'll go ahead and just put this width on the component instance so that we can access it in multiple functions. So it is this dot width now. And in here, I can set the value to this dot width, just like that. Once I set the value to this dot width, I'll be ready to animate this image back to the screen from the other direction. So we can use animated here, and I'll go with spring action here. So we are animating this .image x position, and we want to animate it to a value of 0, which is the center where the image started. So I think this will do. We'll go ahead and start that, and we can test. So swipe one image. There you go. The next image showed up from the other direction of the swipe. Let's see that one more time. There you go. So now we want to make this handle swipe work on both directions, because right now it is not going to work on the other direction. In fact, if you get this grade, that means I incremented the image index out of bounds of the actual data that I have. So one more time, if I swipe once, I get the new image, I swipe again, I get the third image, and 3 images are all that I have in this deal. So if I swipe again, I'm going to go to the 4th image, which does not exist. So we should actually guard this state with an if statement. We can do an if statement here, and the if statement is going to return early if I don't need to handle the swipe. This if can be a simple array lookup. So basically, if this dot state dot deal dot media, this is the array of images that we have. If the image index here plus 1 does not exist, if we're trying to swipe left and we want to increment the image index and I don't have that data, that means I don't need to handle the swipe. That means I need to return early. So it's this dot state dot image index. We need to read that from the state. Not only do I need to return, I also need to reset the partial swipe. And we can actually use the exact same function here to do that. So reset partial swipe. But this time it'll be resetting from the same position. So let's test all that. Swipe once, good. Swipe twice, good. Now swipe, and you'll see how it got reset, and the image index was not incremented. Very good. So now let's handle swipe right. And swipe right is basically going to flip the increment here and here, and it will flip the sign of the width. When we go right, we want to animate the next image from left. So let's make handle swipe receive a variable. I'm going to call it index direction, and I'll assume this to be either +1 or -1. And in here, I'll just add index direction instead of +1. Same thing here, add index direction. So this could be +1 or -1. And in here, we want to multiply the width with the index direction. So if it's -1, I'm actually swiping right, and I want the next image to animate from the left. So now this index direction should be specified in here. It should be +1 for left swipe and -1 for right swipe. Because when we swipe left, we increment. When we swipe right, we decrement. So it's actually the inverse of this direction. So we'll do that. We'll do -1 times this direction here. And I think that should work. Let's test. So we can swipe left and we can swipe right. Very good. I think it's working. But look at that. We have a case that was not handled. So that case is if I swipe less than 40%, what's going to happen? I'm stuck like that. So if I swipe less than 40%, I need to reset the image as well. So we can do that here, basically with the same Spring call. And it is the else statement here. If it's not greater than 0.4, just reset the image back to its 0 position. Let's test that. Less than 40%, there you go, reset. More than 40%, swipe out. Less than 40%, reset. More than 40%, swipe. Very good. We successfully implemented swipe left and right on the image. Now, how about I challenge you with another swipe? How about implement swipe for the rest of this detail view, so not the image. If, for example, you swipe on a title or the description of this deal, show the user the next deal that is in the list. It's the exact same code, but instead of incrementing the image, you are picking the next deal in the array of deals. Try to do that on your own.